Let's talk a little bit about achieving a shallow depth of field on the PXW-Z90. It's a 1-inch sensor, and this 1-inch sensor is used in quite a lot of stuff at the moment. And I think one of the things they do try and sell this camera on is that you can still achieve that to a certain point. But I think really it is quite limited, and compared to a 4/3 sensor camera, which is the last one that I was using, it isn't quite as straightforward to get a nice shallow depth of field. This is the common setup that I use when I'm recording these kind of videos, and the camera is currently set to zoom 0, and the iris is actually set on auto because the light is just from the window and it does dip up and down a bit, so the iris gives me a bit of movement to just set those light levels correctly. So it's on f4 right now, and you can see that at this distance from the camera, I'm pretty close to the camera because when I raise my hands up, they are quite large compared to me. I've got face tracking on, and you can see that the background, it's softened very slightly compared to my face, but really not at all. You've got an image where you can see all the detail in the background, and you're not able to isolate the subject whatsoever. In order to do that on this camera, you're going to have to either get very close or you're going to have to zoom, the standard things that you would, of course, do with a camera to achieve a shallower depth of field. So let's try that out now. Let's see how close I actually have to get to be able to drop this out of focus. I'm going to set the camera to manual focus to start with rather than tracking me. And let's just set this up on my face. Right, so that's set there, that's set correctly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave the camera on a zoom of 0, so no zoom whatsoever. So whatever the I'm not sure what the equivalent is. I've forgotten what this lens is, goes between millimeter wise. And let's take our Playmobil character here. Let's bring him very, very close to the camera. Now he's not lit particularly well, but let's not worry about that. And you can see that as I turn the zoom there, the focus, if I focus on him at that kind of distance from the lens, we've now got a background that even me at that distance, I'm quite dropped out of, I'm pretty much out of focus there, and we've got some nice, a nice shallow depth of field. But he is no more than 10 centimeters away from the camera. So if I bring him even closer like this, I can focus on him, and you've got a background that is nicely out of focus there. But that's just not practical. You never, unless you're doing shots of products, if you are doing shots of products, you could possibly use stuff that close and it would work quite well. But in normal circumstances, you're never going to be able to use it like that. So let's zoom and see how much we can take it out of focus then. So maybe if I just zoom a little bit more like that. And how soft is the background now? Well, not really. It's dropping it out a little bit now, but I think I'm going to have to get even closer. I'm probably going to have to go to this kind of level. Let's just set the focus correctly, or as correctly-ish. And now you can see that we have a shot that is incredibly intrusive. I mean, I'm obviously really I'm filling up a frame here. Like, it's going to look, if you've got this on an 80-inch television, this is going to be a bit scary. But the background is now pretty soft. I'm roughly 30 centimeters away from the lens right now, but if I start backing up a little bit, in fact, I'm going to have to put it back on autofocus to do this. Will it pick me up? Yeah, it's picked up my face there. So as I back up now, you can see that already at that distance, so the zoom's at 50, and as I'm backing up to make the shot even just a bit more reasonable, the background here is already very much back in focus. It is soft, so that's a fairly nice level because it has softened it out a bit, and it is bringing sort of the attention more onto the subject in this case. But really, to get it out of focus to any great extent like this, I'm going to have to be really quite close. So there are pretty major limitations. In fact, let me see how this works with that character then at this zoom level. So here he is. Let me just put him about 10. Let me put him 10 centimeters away. Can I actually focus then at that level? I don't know. Yes, I can. Okay, so I can still focus at that level. And there we can see that with a bit of zoom and nice and close to the camera, as you would expect, we've got some pretty nice, pretty shallow depth of field there on this sensor. Not bad. Background is completely gone now. I'm still kind of 30 centimeters away. He's 10 centimeters away. Our little pirate here. And yeah, that's not too bad. So as long as you're working, let me just set that. So as long as you're working in those kind of parameters, if you like, as long as you're working in that zone where you're doing maybe a shot of somebody cooking and you're able to zoom in a bit and get pretty close to the action, you can create some lovely... It does. I mean, it drops the background out really nicely. Don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic when it does it, but it is quite difficult to achieve on this camera. And don't expect miracles from it, is all I would say. Your circumstances have to be exactly right to be able to get this to do some nice shallow depth of field. But it is doable. But yeah, you're definitely going to have to start zooming quite a lot and getting in very close. Hopefully this is a bit useful, a little bit useful. Just a few quick demonstrations there of sort of real life, a Playmobil admiral. Is he an admiral? I don't know. Yeah, he's got 4. No, it could be a captain. He's got 4 stripes on his arms there. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon.